Greetings comic book fans, welcome to the Dude Cave. I'm Jason and these are my comic book reviews for the 4th week of September 2015. This week 12 books to review, so without further ado, let's get to those reviews. So we're kicking things off this week with DC Comics and we have 3 books to review from DC this week. Kicking things off, we have Justice League 3001 issue number 4. When I got into this book, I kind of frowned a bit because you kind of open up the first page. Not only do you immediately notice it's not a regular artist, Howard Porter, but there's a little dialogue box there that says this issue takes place between JL 3000 issue 15 and GL 3001 issue 1. So it's a flashback issue, so you're kind of thinking, oh god, is it a filler issue? So you're kind of going into it and thinking, damn, you know, I always look forward to Justice League 3001. It's one of those books that is consistently good and just doesn't seem to be hitting anybody's radar. You know, I don't hear that many people talk about it, but every issue it makes me laugh, and I think there's so much they get away with in it. It's fantastic, a fantastic read. So like we're reading it and it's our Flash. Then they send her off on a mission, she's telling Wonder Woman about this mission that she goes off to on this ice planet. There's this brilliant bit that Sleepy Reader kind of showcased on his one of his videos, where Batman's talking to like Ariel, and she's saying she needs this training, and she says the man who led 12-year-old boys into battle against the Joker. So like I liked that line, that did make me chuckle. Basically what the story is, our future Flash meets up with a Mirror Master, the future Mirror Master, because like a whole bunch of villains were brought back to fight the Justice League, and Lois Lane's got this maniacal plan where she's replaced the leader of the Justice League, Ariel Masters, and she's trying to kind of sabotage them from the inside. So I'm thinking that that Lois knows Mirror Master is on this planet, and he's hiding from Lois because he doesn't want to get dragged up into any of this. So Flash and Mirror Master end up a bit of a team up kind of issue. I really like the interactions between the two characters. Again, as always, it's really funny, and you know, I kind of liked where the story went, and it was, like I said, a lot of fun, as this book always is. And you know, yet the art was quite different. He had a strange way of doing the faces, but it was still a really fun issue. And you know, I enjoyed it. I think there ain't really much more to say, so I'm going to give Justice League 3001 issue number 4 4 stars out of 5. Next up we have Batgirl issue number 44. As you can see from that cover there, there's a bit of smoochy mooching going on this issue. Before we get to the smoochy mooching, we get plenty of action. We introduced to this new villain. I don't know if she's been used in other comics in the past, because like I say, I'm not the biggest DC comics expert. She calls herself the Velvet Tiger. I don't really know how that miniskirt works for a supervillain. You'd think they'd have something a bit more kind of set up for a fight, but she seems to be Batgirl's equal, and that's the thing that I really liked at the beginning of this story. She seems to be a step ahead of Batgirl, which like I say, I really liked that, and it made her a really interesting villain for Batgirl to go up against. Somebody who kind of like, he's just as prepared as she is, and he's kind of on her level to give her a really good opponent. Unfortunately, by the end of the issue, she defeated her, which was a bit... I understand that Velvet Tiger's only in the story to kind of put parts of the story together, to get characters in the same area. She's the conduit to get everything together. But it's just a shame. I thought there was the potential there for a really good villain, and hopefully at some point in the future they'll bring her back and do something bigger with her, because I do feel she could be a really major threat for Batgirl. So I'm hoping that they're going to resurrect her in the future, because she isn't killed in this, she's just arrested by the end. Because even at the end, Batgirl doesn't like beat her, it's kind of like more the bike. I like the undercurrent here, even though we don't really see that much. of Frankie and Barbara, and that Frankie wants to become a superhero, and that's kind of still a story that I think is got the undercurrent to the whole book, and you can feel it's still there building, and I'm liking that. I liked, we have this bit at the end with Barbara and with Luke, which, while you could tell there was an attraction and there was a friendship from them when they first bumped into each other, I don't know, is it going too fast? How long have they really known each other? I don't know, you know, but they seemed like they knew each other pretty well. I don't know, it does seem a bit fast for them to kind of, he's turned up and now they're like an item. It does throw out a smooth line that, like, if I was still, you know, single, it's definitely a line okay, I'd use, where Batgirl's talking about she doesn't want, like, no team-ups, no partners. She said, okay, Batgirl alone, new subject. How about Barbara? Maybe she'd like a partner. Well, Luke Fox, are you a-playing? You bet I am. That is just such a line. He deserved a smooch for that line alone. I can kind of overlook that in second thoughts because it's quite a smooth line. But yeah, it does seem a bit quick. But they've established that there's an attraction there, previous issues, so, and that they know each other for a bit. So, and it's difficult for Barbara because it's like, if she has a regular boyfriend, at some point when they get close, she's got to tell them she's Batgirl. She can't keep that hidden and have a full relationship with someone. But then you've got the flip side of that, of like, with Luke, she doesn't have to do none of that. He's been a hero himself. He knows what it's like. So it's somebody who can understand, and she doesn't have to go through a whole the drama of like, well, yes, I'm Batgirl. So while it did feel fast, you kind of, when you think about it, I kind of can understand where Barbara's coming from. But yeah, again, this book just is all a load of fun. I think this isn't the best issue that they've done. I think there were some elements here that didn't work, and there were some things here that had promise. But overall, it continues to have this fun tone, and there's this great undercurrent of the building issue between Barbara and Frankie that I'm really looking forward to seeing where that's going to go. So all in all, I'm going to give Batgirl issue number 44 4 stars out of 5. And our final DC book for review in this part of the video, we have Grayson issue number 12. This is the issue Dick goes home. He's left that spy group and he's going home. And what I liked is like we have like this issue. Mikhail Yanin's art is superb. But he goes to see everybody, he sees Bruce, and he just asks him the simple question, are you happy? But then we have somebody crashes the party, and it turns out that, you know, that previous dude wasn't the only guy kind of higher up in this group. And this new character called Agent Zero, and she wants Dick Grayson back in Spiral. They have not finished with him yet. And she's going to reveal that Bruce Wayne is Batman unless he comes back to work for Spiral. I keep wanting to say Spectre. That's James Bond though. But yeah, so Dick kind of then has to go around and he sees all the different characters and he has moments with the different characters. I kind of was in two minds. A lot of the scenes have this dialogue in the background, which like I liked and I didn't like. It kind of made a lot of reading if you're going to read them all, and I wasn't sure, am I supposed to read them all, or are they just supposed to be there and you can read if you want or not? Or are they intrinsic to the story? Do they give you some kind of clue into what's going on here? So that I felt took away from the emotion of the scene. Also I felt that some of the things went too quickly, that kind of I would expect them all to be more upset and kind of to take longer to get over that, and it kind of seems like instantly they're over it and they're there for him and they're helping him, which I can understand helping him, but it all felt a bit rushed. After all this time we've been waiting, what is it like, this is issue 12, so it's kind of like at least a year we've been waiting for Dick to kind of come back to his family. and it just all felt kind of rushed. I did like the end of this, and I'm definitely excited to see where it's going to go. I liked that we kind of got some time with Damian to show that Damian is alive, and that's not just kind of a dream comic, that he is actually alive and out there somewhere. But it doesn't kind of, does Bruce know he's got a son? Kind of like he's lost his memories, but does he know he's got a son, or is like Damian kind of estranged from his father at this point because his father doesn't remember who he is? That kind of is a lingering question that I want, because like while it was nice seeing Damian and that he is around, it was kind of as well, it brings up so many questions when you start saying yes he's here, and kind of then to tie it into everything else to make it all make sense. It's just, it gives me a headache. But yeah, overall I enjoyed this. I'm excited to see the direction they're going to go. You've got to think this whole spiral thing at some point has got to finish. And now that we've identified this person at the top, Agent Zero, you'd think that Dick will be gunning for them now that he's not alone. I'm interested to see where it's going to go, but I was slightly disappointed with this one. I enjoyed it, but I just expected, I didn't get the emotional resonance that I wanted, and the impact of him being back that I wanted from these characters. And it felt that way, it felt rushed. And maybe they should have left the journey home. They should have left that for the annual and had this story, so you've got extra pages to kind of spread that story out, and then you come back to him being back Inspector in Spiral, sorry, the next issue. Maybe that would have been better. But overall, I'm going to give Grayson, issue number 12, 4 stars out of 5. So those are the DC books. Next up, it's time for the indies. So 5 indie books to review this week. We kick things off with the final issue of Doctor Who, The Four Doctors. It's number 5 of 5. So this book comes to an end. Issue 4, which came out I think about 2 weeks ago now, was the best issue of this yet. So I was really excited to see how they're going to finish it all up. And I kind of came out of it with just as much as I enjoyed about it, that I also had problems. I like the idea that they have here, because like Gabby's the last one left. And in the 11th Doctor's comics, there's a picture of a weeping angel, which manages to transport her back to the beginning of the story when they all met up in France. Now, while I thought this was a clever idea to have something hidden in the comics and a weeping angel, I'd never suspected us, and I thought that was a good idea. And while I did like that, and I thought that was a good idea, I didn't quite understand how you can control how far that the angel will send you to the exact place and time you need. I didn't understand how you could be of that exact science, and how she could be in the exact place you want her to be. So while I liked the idea, I also thought it had a lot of problems to it. This issue mainly is the 12th Doctor taking charge, which makes sense because it's the evil version of the 12th Doctor that has caused all this. So he kind of wants to stop himself becoming this evil version. So it makes sense, and we go through things from previous issues, but we fast forward through a lot of stuff. And while I understood why they did that, and it was the right decision to do that, it did kind of make the story feel like we were rushing through stuff, and it affected the flow of the story. At the same time as well, one of the things that's been good is the interaction between the 3 Doctors. We don't get much time of that. Like I say, it's a very 12-centric issue. Kind of 11 and 10 don't really have that much at all in this issue. So that was a problem. I do like that it gets resolved and things get wrapped up, and that was good. And I felt that there was a good resolution. I still don't understand why it's called the 4 Doctors. We had a cameo from the War Doctor in the first issue. We had a cameo from the 9th Doctor this issue. And yet there's the evil 12th Doctor, but strictly speaking it isn't 4 Doctors. And so I kind of think the name, and I understand they couldn't call it 3 Doctors because there's already a TV episode called that, but I think they could have come up with a better name, you know, to kind of, you know, you could have called it like Corruption of the Doctor or Evil of the Doctor or something like that, you know. um, rather than 4 Doctors, because like as you can see from the cover, you've got 3. But like I say, I was satisfied with the conclusion it gave us, and overall I did enjoy this issue, but it didn't rock me as much as the last issue did, and it kind of used an easy way out of time travel, which again, I don't know. We've seen before the Doctor say you can't travel down your own timeline, and that's what Gabby does here. So doesn't she create a paradox? What happens to the Gabby that, you know? Anyway, so yeah, not as great as I'd hoped. I'm going to give Doctor Who 4 Doctors issue number 5 3 stars out of 5, because I did enjoy it. Next up we have from Valiant Comics, we have Book of Death issue number 3. Really enjoyed this. This was fantastic. It did such a great job of kind of explaining who this mysterious character is, who's causing all this problem, or these problems. I'm trying to find a good picture of him, but I can't find it. Oh, here he is. Here he is. This character here, who is not a nice man at all. It kind of tying everything together. Eternal Warrior and the and Tama, the Geomancer from the future, they've kind of through this issue figure out what's going on, and they're heading now to the other Geomancer who's been captured by that evil dude. So yeah, one thing I love is they have like the way that it's presented in cardboard cover. You've got this list of characters from the story here. I really like it. It really makes it feel like a special event. The art inside is great. The evil guy tries to use the Geomancer's powers, and he makes all these creatures that are dead come back to life, which was really scary and cool. I just really loved this. It kind of pushed the story forward, pushed our understanding forward. It was just perfect, and I really enjoyed it, and it sets up the last issue of this series really well. So this was a really good issue, best issue of this series thus far. I'm going to give Book of Death issue number 3 5 stars out of 5. So next up we have Ivar Timewalker issue number 9, kicks off the new story arc, which is called Ending History. Ivar sacrificed himself to save the others. Unfortunately, it wasn't enough to save the universe. Things are really messed up. So Neela has had to step forward, and she has had to go back in time to get a younger version of Ivar. Now, this younger version of Ivar is not the guy that she knows, but also has very different ideas about women and their roles. And that leads to some really funny interactions. The book, there's just some bonkers ideas, because they're going through these different realities. So there's all these different things that they kind of see. So for example, we have clown Vikings that they encounter. They then go to this baseball game, and it's the Whiteys, because like Native Americans you gather at this world, they're the ones who kind of came out better during the days of the Wild West. So they've got like shirts with Whiteys on them, which I found really funny. So yeah, some really great stuff there. The science stuff at times can be a bit heavy, but I think I'm getting the main bulk of what's happening. They end up on this world with these kind of weasel-like creatures, and I just really liked where we ended up. And just the whole issue was a lot of fun, you know, but exciting and interesting as well. Pushed the story forward really nicely. And I just have no idea where we're heading, but I'm loving every minute of it. And I give Ivar Timewalker issue number 9 5 stars out of 5. So moving over to Image now, we have issue number 5 of Nameless. 5 seems to be the number this week, and a lot of 5s there. So yeah, Nameless, issue number 5. It seems a few months since we've had this book, and one of the problems with this is quite a complex book. There are kind of some really big concepts you have to grasp reading this book. And it makes it so much more difficult when you're reading it months apart, and you kind of have to remember the stuff that you read before. And it were big concepts, so it's kind of going to be even more difficult to remember. I think this book is going to read so much better in a trade. I thought that this was going to be an ongoing, but apparently a reviewer's reading it. There's only 6 issues, I don't know if that's changed or what. If I'd have known it was only going to be 6 issues at the beginning, I would have probably waited for the trade and bought this as a trade, and I think it will read well as a trade. I'm always proud of myself when I can read a Grant Morrison book and come out of it with, I think I have an idea of what happened here, and this is the case here. This very much seems like the origin story of our main character, Nameless, and how he became Nameless and why he became Nameless. And it's kind of, and the way that they tell the origin, it kind of links it up to what's happening now, and that this alien on the asteroid, this alien intelligence on the asteroid where they are, seems to be linked back to his past on Earth. And I like how they've done that, and how they tied that together here, so you understand a bit more about that main character. I still don't understand how much of this issue is real or is going on in his head. The art here by Burnham is brilliant. There's a fantastic usage of colour throughout the book, and I just really love Chris Burnham's art. There's some really great stuff. Again, there's some really big concepts here that I ain't even going to endeavour to try and explain. But overall, I did enjoy it. I just wish that, you know, it was the issues were closer together coming out, because I think on Comixology it says issue 6 doesn't come out till November, and I'm like, come on, like more than any other book you need to read this together. But I enjoyed this issue, and I'm going to give Nameless issue number 5 4 stars out of 5. So our final indie book this week is Invisible Republic issue number 6. This kicks off a whole brand new arc. I really enjoyed this book, and last issue are kind of the character who, we have these 2 reporters who found these memoirs of this woman who was related to this dictator, and it's kind of her story of, and the real story of what happened with this dictator and his rise to power. And the reveal at the end of the last arc was that she is still alive, and this issue kind of, we not only get to see her, we also get to see her, we're introduced to a character at the beginning of the story who has an impact on both the past and the present of the story, and I really like that. As things begin to get more complicated, the art here is really good. I like the subtle changes in colour that let you know where in the story you are, so you get the different changes in colour and the changes in, and it kind of tells you where you are. This book is just an absolute joy. Really like all the conspiracies kind of build it up, and you can feel all these, as new elements are introduced, it kind of makes the story that much more complex. Really enjoying this. It's been great stuff. I'm going to give Invisible Republic issue number 6 5 stars out of 5. So those are the indies. Next up, Make Mine Marvel. So here we are with 3 books this week from Marvel to review. First off, we start in the galaxy far away. It is Star Wars Kanan, issue number 6. This concludes the first story arc, and I liked how they did this. Kind of how this series began was weird. The crew having to go to this planet called Kala, and Kanan recalling that in the days of the Clone Wars, when he was a young Padawan learner and Order 66 happened, that was on Kala. So he kind of hasn't been back since he was a Padawan, and in what almost seems like another life. And I like how they tied that all together, so that whole memory of kind of what happened, and then here we kind of see them in what for them is present day, and him going back to this planet and remembering the whole places, and kind of getting to grips with what happened to different characters and how things ended up. So I really liked this story a lot. I thought it was good. It didn't blow me away, but it was good. Kind of some of the interactions between the main characters during their parts, because we don't get the whole main cast together that much in this issue because it's more about Kanan. But they reminded me of the characters from the TV show. And yeah, overall I enjoyed this a lot. It was a lot of fun. Glad I'm back on board, and I thought it was a nice way to end the first arc, kind of to go back to this planet and kind of to see what had happened here. So that was all good. So give Star Wars Kanan issue number 6 4 stars out of 5. So next up we have Weirdworld issue number 4. And this book is just tremendous. I really love this. Mike Del Mundo is an artist I'd not heard of before this series. At least it's not a name I was familiar with. And I just love his art here. He's so suited to this book. And Jason Aaron is just the kind of mad genius you want writing it. They do a great job. So we have Skull the Slayer has been commissioned by Baroness Morgana Le Fay to kill Archon. So they're battling it out, and they come to the lair of the Man-Things, and they meet the Queen of the Man-Things, who's trying to lead an uprising, trying to unite Weirdworld to take out Morgana Le Fay. Skull goes along with her plan, but Archon, he's just kind of, he's like, no, I'm just kind of blinkered vision, I want to get home. And he keeps having these visions where his home is upside down, and it's kind of like he thinks it's him upside down each time, and it kind of, by the end, you get this nice twist at the end of the tale that is kind of heartbreaking for Archon. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing his name right. Yeah, Archon. Archon, it's heartbreaking for Archon, and it was just a really nice ending to the book. But like, the art in this is tremendous. Mike Del Mundo deserves a lot of credit. Again, as well, the usage of colour in this is really good, and there are like scenes where he gets some really good like expressions. You can see the fear on his face there, Archon. Really great stuff. You know, I always praise Fiona Staples as been somebody who's so great at being able to convey expressions, you know, emotional expressions. But Mike Del Mundo, as mad as making his art look otherworldly, he also, you know, does a really great job of capturing the emotion. Yeah, I just really love this book. It's been one of my favourite books of this whole Secret Wars series, and remains so. Really excited to see how this is going to conclude, and I give Weirdworld issue number 4 5 stars out of 5. So the final Marvel book this week is also a Secret Wars tie-in, and it's the final issue of that Secret Wars tie-ins. It is Years of Future Past issue number 5. I've been enjoying this series. It has been a good series. This issue I really enjoyed. The ending is bizarre. It ends really abruptly. It's kind of like they ran out of pages and they were like, oh, we're just going to end it there. Yeah, don't worry about it. Because, yeah, it very much like Planet Hulk, that was kind of an abrupt and disappointing ending. This is the same thing. There isn't, like, you don't feel you get the conclusion to the story. And, you know, there's still a lot of, well, what happens next? And I don't know in a lot of these books if they're deliberately left with that little bit of leeway, so that maybe the most popular books they can go back to. Because I know, I think they've announced for December, I think Weirdworld's going to become an ongoing in December. And I think X-Men 92 has been announced, but I think that's next year that's going to become an ongoing. So some of these books will be carrying on. So I don't know if they were kind of given that as an instruction, leave some leeway so that if we decide to bring the book back, that there's still more story to tell. Because it would be interesting to see what happened to these characters next. But if the ending was a bit strange and a bit abrupt as well. I did enjoy this issue. You knew it was going to come down to like what she had to do had to be done. But it didn't take any of the emotion away, and I really enjoyed the issue. It wrapped up the bulk of the story and the different elements up nicely. It was just the bizarre way the end of the issue approached, I think, really spoiled everything that had come before it. So I'm going to give Years of Future Past issue number 5 4 stars out of 5. So those are my reviews. Just one more book to review this week, and that is going to be my pick of the week. So we are now, my pick of the week is He-Man The Eternity War issue number 10. This was the best book I read this week. I feel the storytelling here is really good. Building things up that are paying off. It's been brilliant. And kind of last month's issue I really enjoyed and was tempted to give pick of the week. But I kind of didn't consider it because I thought, it's He-Man. Can I make a He-Man comic pick of the week? And I'm kind of thinking about it and thinking that that's a bit snobbish. if a comic's good, it doesn't matter if it's Goofy or if it's DuckTales or if it's the Teletubbies. It doesn't matter what the book is. If the book is good and I enjoyed it the most out of all the books I've read, it should be pick of the week. You know, it's like saying, oh, only indie comics can be pick of the week, nothing mainstream. You know, it's a bit snobbish. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to make it pick of the week. So here it is, my pick of the week. And this, as you would imagine, it is an awesome issue. Skeletor now has control of Grayskull and the power. What he's been plotting for years has now come to fruition. Lord Hiss has taken over the body of Adam. So Adam isn't, you know, no longer in control. She-Ra is trapped in this kind of all these souls kind of that she killed when she was evil, and so they're kind of devouring her. Evil Lynn has took on this new power that she's struggling to control. We have a new character introduced called the War Wraith. Adam leads his people in battle to try and take Grayskull back, but things aren't going good, and it requires another hero to make a sacrifice so that they can make it. Just all around, all of these things are kind of developed in this issue, and the end where we get this massive reveal that I just did not see coming is just awesome. My jaw well and truly dropped. I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that. Fantastic stuff. Ablett is doing a great job on this book, and I think if it was any other book, we'd be shouting it from the rooftops. But it shouldn't matter that it's a He-Man book. If it's a good book, it's a good book. And if it's the book I enjoyed the most this week, it should be the pick of the week. And that's why, for the 4th week of September 2015, my pick of the week is He-Man, The Eternity War, issue number 10. So we've reached the end of the video, which means it's time to find out who the company of the week is. What this is every week I take, for example, the DC books, I add the scores together, I divide by the number of DC books I've reviewed, and that gives me an average score. I do the same for Marvel and the Indies, and whoever comes out with the highest average rating, they become company of the week. This week, the same as last week, we have a tie for second place, and once again it is Marvel and DC, tying it up for second place with an average rating of 4.3. So the winners once again are the Indies, this week represented by Titan Comics, Image Comics and Valiant Comics, and they have an average rating of 4.4 to run away with Company of the Week. So yeah, that is me done. I will be back on Wednesday with a haul video. 12 books, it's the 5th week of the month, which is one of those unusual weeks. And it seems there's 12 books, so it seems like it's just a normal week. I know some books have been put back. You've got a few annuals out. So, yeah, it ends up being just like a normal week. Where it used to be like you'd have fewer books on a 5th week. It doesn't work like that. They just spread it around a bit more. And so, yeah, so I'll be back with that on Wednesday. I will be back with a review video. Probably the weekend, maybe beginning of next week, depending how quickly I get through my books. Thank you very much for watching. Please, if you enjoyed my video, give me those beautiful thumbs up. Let me know you liked what I did. That's pretty much me done. So yeah, I've been Jason. This has been my comic book reviews from the Dude Cave. Bye for now.